So we'll see that in there. I am going to go through, okay, hey Vanessa. I'm going to go through the core products on this webinar. So it's going to be a pretty basic orientation. It's mostly oriented to new people, but it'll be a refresher for some. I'm going to go through the core products in the weight loss president's pack. I might highlight a few things in the AMPS line. But as we get deeper into the challenge, I'll dive into some of the other products that are available. But I think just for the basic person starting, it would be good to just go over, I'm going to actually go over some things that sometimes people make mistakes in. Like using 1 scoop of protein powder. Someone used 1 scoop of protein powder in their shake for an entire month before they found out it should be 2. And for existing people, you know that would taste radically different than it should. Okay, let's jump right in. So we are jumping into week 1. One thing before we jump in, I would say if anyone wants to join us, it's completely open. They can join us during the challenge. This is as open, very open challenge, and love people to participate in the webinars. We're going to have different people speaking in the webinar, so because you guys are probably getting bored of me. And you know, I don't know everything, and there's a lot of different perspectives. So this is always from my perspective, and it's great to get more. So stay tuned. And each week I'll give you a bit of a heads up on what the topic is going to be. Okay, so we're going to talk about preparing to win. So even if you're been using the product forever, I do think this is, you know, we're in a new year, we're talking about a challenge, and I will admit sometimes when I've done the Ice White Challenge, I literally did it just for the $200. I submitted my pictures and went about my day, and, you know, I've gotten results, but I wasn't, you know, I didn't write down specific goals, and I didn't think of it as a challenge. So this is an opportunity to be as clear as possible about what you want to do and set an intention and go for it. And win. Like, I want someone on this team to win. So if it's not this challenge, it's a challenge in 2018. And I know a lot of winners have done repeat challenges. And so I'd love for someone to be a finalist or an honorable mention or the actual winner. Let's talk about preparing to win. So knowing your why, so not just a goal, but your why. It's the more you can make your goals sort of juicy and interesting, the more compelling they're going to be to you on a daily basis or on a moment-to-moment basis. The other thing is you want to track your progress. Even little baby steps of progress are really important and can be very motivating, and also can give you feedback if you're not getting the results that you want. Very sort of tactical thing, you want to choose your cleanse days ahead of time. And just a note there, pregnant or nursing, we don't do cleanse days in those cases, and I can talk to you about modifications for your program. And then plan to succeed. So, I don't know if everyone saw Brooke's post in United to Inspire group where she talked about, like, what does she do? This girl's not winging it, and that was my comment on her post, is she's very intentional about what she does with her nutrition, what she does with her workouts. She has goals, and she's just not like getting up in the morning and winging it. Now, you can wing it. I mean, you can wing anything, you can plan anything. Just the more you put into something, the more you're going to get out. We're going to talk about willpower. So for a lot of us, myself included, I like lots of stuff like chocolate and chips, and I do like them. And, you know, I do like to have dessert and that type of thing, but I also like to have a six-pack in terms of abs. And so basically willpower does come into play, especially when you're in social situations and everyone else is eating things. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And we're going to actually do an entire session on willpower called Willpower 101. And then I would say make it easy and fun. So you can choose for this to be torture, or you can choose for it to be a challenge that is enjoyable. And really, I mean, there's lots of things in life like this where you make a choice about how you're going to experience something. So diving a bit into your why. So one thing to do is remind yourself why you've decided to do this challenge and write it down. So there's tons of studies that show that when people write down their goals, they have a much better chance of achieving them. Part of it is there's a visual aspect, but part of it is, a big part of it is when you write something down, it forces you to be clear, right? So if you just have a vague concept in your head and you kind of just dream about it, you know, it can be compelling, but when you have to like put it into words, it forces a bit of clarity, especially if you follow some guidelines on goals. So you ever heard of SMART goals? You want to do a goal that's specific, that's measurable, that's achievable, that's realistic, and that's time bound. So that's the acronym for SMART. And so you want to be as specific as possible, and you can have multiple goals. So it might be like, I'm going to be on the stage at Celebration as an Ice Body finalist. That could be the big goal. And then there might be some micro goals in there that, you know, I'm going to follow this plan 100%, or I'm going to follow this plan 95%. I'm going to have a little treat meal, or I'm going to do 4 workouts every week. So, this is really from the corporate world, but when we talk about measures or goals, there's often leading measures and lagging measures. The lagging measure would be, I'm an Ice Body finalist. The leading measure is all those little things that you need to do to get there. So, and actually Michael Hyatt runs a really good course on goal setting, where he talks about these things. If you Google any of this, this helps you think about some micro goals to your major goal. I think finding something or someone visual to model is really helpful. So this is true in any goal in life. There's a very, very good chance that something that you want to achieve has been done by somebody else. So and by someone very similar to you, by someone who's very similar to you in your current state and has gotten to a place where you'd like to go. So find that person. On Facebook, it's pretty easy. I found she's actually going to be one of our speakers. I've never met her in person, but I found her in the Facebook group, and I just asked her what she did, and I got her same coach, and I'm getting leaner and leaner, and I'm really reining in my whole meals, and maximizing what you can do with Isagenix. So, you know, surround yourself by the people that you most want to be like, and people will take it as a compliment if you ask them what they've done, and often will help you achieve what you want to do. You know, think about how you'll feel. So not just like, you know, I want to be super hot in a bikini. That's great. But what does that mean? You know, or I want to be healthy. Well, what does that mean you'll be able to do? So think about these things, not just, because sometimes we just get focused on the number on the scale, or you know, sort of an abstract thing, and it's not as emotional. The more things that we can put emotion behind, we have a better chance of achieving. And then another way to look at it is think about the benefits you'll experience in 3 dimensions. So you can look at this really long-term, and long-term goals are important because they keep us on track. But imagine if you went through 6 weeks and you massively changed some lifestyle habits. For me, this is what this is right now, what I'm going through. So I'm really quick story. I had to go to small claims court on Friday. Very stressful situation, something that's been going on for a couple of years now and sort of coming to a head. Went through a stressful situation in the court. And my typical thing would be like, I should drive home and I should have like some chips and some chocolate, and I had a stressful situation. I should do that. So for me, like, to change those associations around food was really important. I didn't have any of that. I made my shake in my car and I drove home and I felt great. But that was new for me. In extremely stressful situations, I've found it in the past to be comforting. So that for me is a way bigger victory than, say, losing 2 pounds, because that is a long-term thing that I can take with me. So think about that. In the long term, what are you going to get? It's not just about the end goal, but what are the things that you're going to change or improve in the process? And then think about, just in the 30 days or 16 weeks, what could you do? What would be amazing? 16 weeks is amazing. Like, you can see 16 weeks out and you can make a massive transformation in that time. I love that time period. And then also think about today. So for me, like again, going back to sugar, I used to have a bit of a habit in the morning getting some sugar at Metro when I was buying my lunch, and I would eat it and it would feel good for about 10 seconds and then I would be foggy and that type of thing. So now, you know, I've gotten it that I do not feel great in that time and I can't get as much done at work and I just don't feel as much clarity and it just sucks and I'm mad at myself. So imagine if you resisted that, how would you feel both physically and emotionally about overcoming that challenge? I'm not going to stay on this non-scale victory. That's only 6 pounds. Don't focus so much on the pounds. Everyone see my back fat. Let's move on. Okay, so tracking your progress. There are so many different ways to do this. Since we're all doing the IsaBody challenge, and if anyone has any questions about how to do that, just post in the group or message me. But you can actually get this and I will post where you get it. Marlene, you probably can remember. It's not really in the back office, but is in ISA FYI, or if you throw that in the chat. I bought it at a show that I was at. But that's a great resource. It actually has an entire 16-week journal, and you can write in your goals and your why and your measurements and that type of thing. Just the IsaBody challenge online is also a great thing. You're going to put in your weight. So you're going to put in your photos and your measurements. But I do think writing something in terms of your goals is helpful. And then there's tools out there that are helpful in terms of tracking what you're eating. For me, that was important because I'm trying to maintain a certain calorie level and a certain macro percentage between protein, fats, and carbs. And it is a little bit, because I'm so active now, it's a bit more than the typical 2 shakes and 400 to 600 calorie meal and 2 stacks. So I use MyFitnessPal, which is in the middle there, and then Fitbit, awesome in terms of just making sure that you're moving enough and you're getting some exercise. And there's lots of other ways, but on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, how are you doing? And checking in with yourself and ensuring that you're doing as well as you want to. So for people doing a weight loss or a cleanse, and I have to say, I haven't got a recent guide, so I don't know if this is outdated. This is the last one that I pulled from. But this gives you an idea of a couple different ways to do cleansing in terms of deep cleansing. And you could do 1 day a week or 2 days a week. And these are both really good options. There's also daily cleansing for those who don't want to do deep cleansing. That's what I'm doing right now. And I may go back to deep cleansing, but I do daily cleansing right now. So I wanted to, this is in one of the most recent guides that I have, but I wanted to just walk through some of the products. Again, just the only sort of critical error I've seen people make is just use 1 scoop instead of 2. So this is Isoline shake. If you're using canisters, you want to use 2 shakes or 2 scoops. If you wanted to, so that would be this, or you're going to use an entire packet of Isoline or Isoline Pro. You can actually sort of hack an Isoline into an Isoline Pro by using 1.5 scoops of Isoline and then 1 scoop of the pure, sorry, I'm challenged with this camera, of IsaPro. I love the chocolate strawberry combination. Ionic Supreme, the typical recommendation is an ounce of Ionic Supreme first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. There's lots of other uses of this in the afternoon as a pick-me-up. Some people actually find it relaxing in the evening. Some people find it not relaxing in the evening, so you want to see how you react to this. I got to admit, at the beginning when I was doing Isagenix, I did everything, and then over time, I kind of I was focused on calories and the shakes and that type of thing. But just remember that Isagenix has developed a system, right? And all of these products do support. So I definitely take this every day now. I take the Natural Accelerator, which I have right now in, so your Natural Accelerator you'll see in the bottle with the purple bluish cap. But it also comes in the custom 30-day. And the typical recommendation for the accelerator is twice a day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon. I generally take it with a shake. I had a hard time remembering it, so I have to, for me to remember things, I pair them with things. I never forget to take my 2 shakes, so I tend to pair my accelerator with the shake. You want to find what works for you. In the President's Pack, or you could have ordered these separately. So Ageless Essentials Photography, I know the packaging has changed on this recently, and you're going to take the AM pack in the morning, PM pack at night. I never go a morning without my e-shot. So these are great. The recommendation that I follow is 5 minutes before a workout. So I tend to drink this while I'm walking to the gym in the freezing cold, I will add. Isoline bar. So the recommendation here is that this is a meal replacement, or half a bar is a good snack. I do, people do have this instead of their shakes. I do recommend that you have your shake as much as you can versus replacing it with a bar. The shake does have more protein, and you're going to get better, you're just going to get more protein. So a bar is good to keep in your purse or in your bag if you really, really can't have a shake, but I would use these generally as snacks. And then just taking a look at our time here. Yep, 9:17. So getting into the AMP line, I'll tell you the core products that I use. I don't have Nox with me. I am taking Nox every night now because we're 2 weeks away from Australia and I'm working out a lot because my goal is look hot in a bikini. So I'm taking Nox every night before bed. You typically want to take that 3 to 4 hours, but I work out so early in the morning that I can't do that. So the night before is also a good option. And then I use Recover. Actually use Recover during my workout, intra and after. So I just sip on water during a body pump class to Recover. I do take Power, so 30 minutes before my workout. So generally I go for a workout around 6:15, 6:45. So I actually get up and drink this in just 4 ounces of water, a scoop. And then I get ready for the gym. I heard on a Susan Sly call once that I can't remember who the person was, but it was a very, very fit woman who took a brain boost with an e-shot. So I tend to do that. Really helps with mental clarity and focus. And then I also take greens and fruit sometimes, and there's Bedtime Belly Buster. So we'll get into all the extra products. I pretty much use them all. This is what the Nox looks like. Where's my camera? Yep. Very similar to an e-shot. I don't want to mix those up. So pay attention. Take an e-shot before you go to bed. Okay. Oh, one little mistake that some people make is on the Cleanse for Life. So if you've got the little bottles and you're doing a deep cleanse, you want to take 4 ounces 4 times a day, and these are only 2 ounces. So you don't want to just take one of these bottles. You want to take 2 of these at each serving. I think that's it. Ice of Delights, I don't have any with me, but those are great. They're recommended for cleanse days. They're not absolutely essential, but are recommended and will make your cleanse days much better. The one little recommendation I have is that I would save those for cleanse days if you're planning to do them rather than eating them on your shake days, but they are also an option for your shake days. You just don't want to burn through them like I've done in the past and then not have them for cleanse days. And the other thing is the isogenic snacks on cleanse days. Some people, I actually really like these. Some people don't like them. If you don't like them, still eat them on your cleanse days. They really, really do help with maintaining blood sugar and results. I would say they're mandatory, in my opinion, to keep those. You don't want to go without them. And whatever they taste like shock, suck it up. That's my advice. Okay. There's lots of different things on the internet in terms of visuals. There may be, this is kind of an old school one that I like that I put on my phone, or I've printed this out before. If it's not a habit yet for you in terms of the order and when you take your stuff, I would have something on your phone, or I would, there's actually a Shake Day app, I think in iPhone and Android. You can print out a sheet and actually check it off. So just think about how do you remember things, and find a system that works for you. I would say the focus when you're first starting is to get the products in your body. Plan your meals as best as you can. But if you have the mentality of what are you going to do versus what you're not going to do, if you're like constantly in the mode of like, don't eat the chocolate, like that actually takes a lot of energy and in fact will attract chocolate to your mix. So don't say that over and over again. Just say, what are the products that you need to do, and take them. Ideal shake day. So the recommendation is 400 to 600 calorie meal with a balance between protein, vegetables, good fats, and complex carbs in these proportions. This is like a very good visual. Our pediatrician had to remind us how small Austin's fist is, right? So she was like, Austin's protein size should actually be the size of his fist, not your fist, because our little guy will eat as much as an adult. So it's the size of your fist, which is a good thing to know. We are going to dive into this in a future thing, but I do talk about this a lot because it has been very helpful for me. If you think about what are your non-negotiables, so as you're going into this challenge, define what you will do 100% and what you won't do 100%, and just define it. And define it in a way that's achievable for you. I think a lot of us have had a lot of experience with dieting, with saying we're going to do things and doing things differently than what we've said. So pick something that is challenging and achievable and stick to it. I will tell you that 100% is much, much easier than 99%, because 99% often becomes a slippery slope. And we'll get down to the bright lines in a second. Willpower is important. One thing you should know is if you have this story in your head, and I always say it is a story, that you have no willpower. First of all, willpower can be built and you can learn how to boost your willpower. So just know that you're not fixed as a no willpower person. You can improve it. But the other thing is it is finite, and there are things that will help you boost your willpower or will decrease your willpower if you don't do these things. Big one is sleep, ideally before 10:30 at night. And there is there's been studies that for people who get less than 4 hours sleep, their judgment on decision making is similar to someone who has had a 6-pack of beer. So I've never had a 6-pack of beer, but I imagine if I had a 6-pack of beer, I would be very open to eating a bag of chips. So you want to make sure that you get enough sleep, because sleep, first of all, on a physiological level, if you get enough, you have way less cravings. And second, on emotional, psychological level, you have much better judgment and can make rational decisions that are not just in the moment. Another thing is keep your blood sugar level. So if you've ever gone all day without eating and then get home and want to eat the entire fridge, that's because your blood sugar has tanked, and now you don't have good decision-making ability. So one of the things that's great about Isagenix, so you follow the plan, it's actually been developed to keep your blood sugar level. So just follow the plan, and that will really help you. Another thing is move. So even just a little bit. So if you have a Fitbit, that's a great way to join. A lot of us are going to get much more involved in the challenges. I have to say my steps are going to be a bit lower than in the past because I'm very focused on weightlifting, which doesn't get as many steps. But there is studies that show that when you're exercising and when you're moving, that is like a little bit of Prozac. The quote I've heard is like a little bit of Prozac and a little bit of Ritalin together. So boost your mood, also increases your focus, and just helps you, again, make better decisions. Focus on what you put in your body, not what you're trying to avoid. Focus on what you want and not what you don't want, always, no matter what you're doing. Bright lines. So this is sort of around the non-negotiables. It comes from legal contracts. When you do a legal agreement, you want to be very clear what is inside the lines. So if you're driving down the street It's very clear. Or if you're playing volleyball, you know, if the ball hits the line, it's either in or out. These things. So, you know, if you just say like, I'm gonna like kind of try to not eat as much sugar. Well, when it's like there's like a big cake there, you're like, well, that's just a little bit of sugar, right? So are you eating the cake or not, right? So what are your rules? When can you eat the cake? When can you not? Is it never? Is it Saturday night at 5:15? What are the rules? I will tell you this will make it a lot easier. And then we'll talk about it in the willpowers, but how can you use your willpower wisely? So you want to save your willpower for the times when you really need it. When you're in a situation where you're surrounded by everything that you love, and everyone's eating, like those are the times, not when you're like walking to work every day and there's a cupcake shop. Like, you know, you don't want to burn through your willpower in times when you don't. So what habits can you install on the autopilot so you don't have to constantly be fighting with your willpower? I will tell you, I talk about this from personal experience. Okay, make it easy and fun. So one of the things is choose your language. So again, we said, you know, is this going to be like a total torture or is this going to be fun? So decide. So things like I choose versus I have to do this. I'm choosing to improve my health versus I have to lose weight. Or when you put words after the words I am, these are two powerful words, right? They are defining things about yourself. So when you say those things, what do you put after those words? And that can have a radical impact on how you think about things, even how people think of you. And those are key. Choose your language. Ever want to hear anyone talk great about changing your language or choosing your language? Tony Robbins has some great stuff on that. I would say make a plan that requires some effort but is doable. So, you know, I do believe in planning things and being intentional, but you also have to be realistic. So I have in the past maybe said like, I'm going to make all these meals. I don't have time, right? So if I pick like one new recipe a week to try, and I have that like 3 times, that's a good week for me, right? So what is realistic within your lifestyle? And you get the point on the bright lines. I won't say it again. Surround yourself with positive people and those you wish to be like. Enough said. And then I like this, so show the naysayers they're wrong, right? If you have these like, oh, what are you doing now? Or, oh, you're drinking a shake. Oh, I love that meme where they're like, oh, I would never, you know, drink a shake, and they're like at McDonald's, right? Like, what's in those shakes? And then they're eating their Big Macs. So I particularly love to sort of show those naysayers that they're wrong. But what an amazing thing. If you have some people are giving you a hard time because they miss you at the pub or whatever the thing is, like, here's a great thing to show them that you've made a decision for yourself and to show them results you can get. I find that fun. Okay, homework this week. So, Ice Buy Challenge. I'm hoping everyone can say in the chat if they've entered the Ice Buy Challenge. You want to take your photos, measurements. Measurements are optional in the Ice Buy Challenge. There is a place for it. You want to take your weight. You want to organize, so think about your meals. If anyone needs any ideas, we have recipes in the group. There's actually amazing Pinterest boards out there that people have created around the 400 to 600 calorie meal. You can literally Google that. I'd love for everyone to write down your goals. I will start a thread in our group. I was thinking if we use the hashtag crushing it for anything to do with the challenge, that'd be kind of fun. So I will start that tonight around our goals. So, and then think about why they're important and what are 3 things you'll start doing to boost your willpower. Any questions? 9:29. Bam. I'm going to unmute everyone. Let's see.
Okay.
Oh, look at all the Ice Buy challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Can I say one thing, Leanne?
Of course.
That was great. Lots of good tips there. I just want to remind people that change takes a long time sometimes. people that are transforming their bodies. We see some photos that, you know, we might see, as Leanne mentioned, excuse me, a before and an after, and we don't know the timeline. It might be 2-3 IsaBody challenges when you think of it, that could be a year that someone's been dedicated to their very, very specific goals. So I think the biggest thing is just to remember that what your goals, as Leanne has mentioned, are, and to have them written down and to put your focus on those. So as Leanne said, how we want to think about the food we can eat versus maybe the things that we're trying to avoid. It's really great when you can start to look at the things you are doing versus, you know, where maybe you aren't at yet. So instead of looking at all of those things that, oh, you know, I wish I could go to the gym more, or I wish I had, you know, more knowledge about food or lifting or whatnot, think of all the things you are doing. You know, if your goal is to drink more water, how are you doing at that? And if you have issues with it, I always say the only way that we fail at something is if we don't learn and if we don't try again. So that's what we're all here for, right? To help you with those challenges that you might be finding to hit your simple daily goals, so that you can really become consistent with those. Because just how Leanne is well mentioned about how she was able to kind of have that willpower to shift away from having a stressful situation and then going home and eating chips and having chocolate. It's just habits. And when we're more aware of the habits that we're trying to create, we start to notice when things start to take us off course. So during the 16-week challenge, just be very focused on what you're doing every day that's getting you closer to your daily habits, and that eventually will get you closer to your goals.
Absolutely. Thank you. Couldn't have said it better. I will, and actually for that picture, so just so you guys know, that was about, I think that's a slightly older picture, but yeah, for me that was 8 months. So it took me 8 months, and I know we're not supposed to say things in terms of compliance, but between us, you know, I was focused on breastfeeding and that type of thing. I'm just gonna mute everyone for a sec. Yeah, so I mean, I saw these amazing transformations and stuff, but what was realistic for me was a gradual weight loss, and I was focused on lots of things, and I was focused on body composition. And so, yeah, I cannot stress that. That was perfect. Thank you, Elizabeth, for really defining your goals and what's important for you. I mean, it's your life, and everyone has completely different priorities in different situations. So, and being successful on a daily basis is really what this is about. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's just, and actually, as we go through these challenges, everyone can learn in Zoom how to unmute yourself. I'm going to generally have people muted just for the recording and for all the background noise. But let's just take a look in the chat. Yes, we can do it. We can all do it. So let's say goodnight for now, because I have 57 minutes until my bedtime. And thank you for everyone for joining in. Again, we will publish the upcoming topics and that type of thing. We are still clearing up exactly the speakers and that type of thing. We have a really good outline for a whole bunch of different topics over the 16 weeks. Feel free to invite people to join us, and let's rock it. So I am going to end it for now, and I will talk to you guys later. Oh, before I do that, I'm going to unshare. I like getting everyone's beautiful faces. Let's see. There we go. Say goodnight. Bye, guys. Hey, Steph. Yay. Hey, Steph. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. See you later.